So for this problem, what I have is 4p squared plus 4p minus 24. All right. So what we're going to want to do, Chris?
I'm writing down.
Okay. What we're going to want to do for a problem, remember guys, we're trying to factor this, right? So this problem simply just says factor. So what we want to do, if you guys remember factoring, it just means writing it as a product, okay? Writing it as a product of its factors. So what we need to do is we need to determine, what divides into there, right? And we're going to be dealing with, when we're factoring trinomials, we worked into factoring it into two different binomials. But however, before we ever go into any factoring, let's see, is there any other kind of more common factors that we can see that divides into all three of these terms? 4, right? So we could say that the GCF would be 4, right? So whenever you can always want to look, when you're factoring, always look for a GCF. Because if you can take something out first, then factor it, it's always helpful. So we could say the GCF is equal to 4. Now remember guys, when we practice factoring out GCFs, what you did is you took your GCF and you divided it by into every single term. So 4p squared divided by 4 is just going to leave you with p squared. 4p divided by 4 is positive p. And negative 24 divided by 4 is negative 6. Right? And now remember, we are writing it, when I divide out, to rewrite this problem, I just rewrite it as whatever my GCF is multiplied by what I divided. Now let's see, does that make sense? Well, does 4 times p squared give you 4p squared? Does 4 times p give you 4p? And 4 times negative 6 give you negative 24? Yes. So all I did is I just rewrote this as a multiplication problem. This is factoring. All right? So I factored it once. But can we factor it further? And that's what I want to see. Can I factor this trinomial? Right? So what we did to determine if we could factor this trinomial further, what we did is we like to create this little x. And the x just helps us determine how to factor it. So we look at our last term, which is negative 6. You always take your coefficient of your first term, which is 1, times the last term, negative 6. So 1 times negative 6 is negative 6. Then you take the middle term, the coefficient of the middle term, which is 1. So then we say, what are the factors of negative 6? What are the numbers that multiply to give you multiply to give you negative 6, but add to give you 1?
6 and negative 1.
Well, do they add? They got to add to 1. So what you do to think about this, if you get stuck, just take the factors of negative 6. What two numbers multiply to give you negative 6? Negative 6 and 1, 6 and 1, negative 3 and 2, 3 and negative 2, right? All of these numbers are factors of them because they multiply to give you negative 6. So out of these 4 pairs, what is the only pair that adds to give you positive 1? 3 and negative 2. Okay? So then what I have here is 4 times p plus 3 times p minus 2. So now that is my final factorized form. That's all you guys need to do to complete that.
I get it all.
Okay.
I get it. It's just that the X, it's like that last part.
I know, it's practice.